Hey guys. Okay, so I was scrolling down Facebook and I saw that Ashley, this is a girl that I went to high school with. She posted asking for help on choosing a thumbnail for her YouTube video, and I was like, okay, cool, like I can do that. And as I was looking at them, um, I was like, as a graphic designer, respectfully, none. But send me the original photos and let me see what I can whip up for you. So I looked at these and I just, as a graphic designer, I feel like anytime, you are, in your zone of genius, when you look at something like, so for instance, say you are you do hair, right? I mean, if you see somebody's hair that like isn't done right, like it's obvious to you. It's like you can't unsee it, right? So same thing for me with like graphic design. Like I just like cannot unsee stuff. And so I wasn't going to just write a post and just say none and then just leave. If you don't have nothing nice to say, then don't say anything at all. And I wasn't just going to leave her tips either because she's not a designer. So generally, if it's a designer that's asking for help, like I'll send tips. So then I was like, okay, well, let me just do it. And so yeah, that's what I decided to do. I was like, okay, well, just send it over to me. Like, let me whip up something. I don't do as many Canva graphics for clients anymore unless they have like a package, a branding package, or unless I'm creating like a template like kit with like matching templates and stuff like that. But I do love creating stuff for people that I know, and so I was like, okay, let me go ahead and create this for her. So if you aren't following her, go ahead and follow her on YouTube and all of her other links here at Greater Bay. And I am going to show you how I came up with this. So I went ahead and sent her the ones that I came up with, and she said, "Okay, tell me where I need to start to get better at this. These are so dope." And so that's why I'm creating this YouTube video. So I'm going to show you how I came up with these and how you can too, even if you're not a graphic designer. Because I used a shortcut in order to create these. And I generally do that unless I need to create custom graphics. But like when I create graphics for myself, like sometimes they are custom, but sometimes I take shortcuts. Yes, even as a graphic designer, I do, especially if you're using Canva because Canva has a lot of templates. And as a Canva template creator as well. So I create templates on Canva's platform for Canva, and then also on like in my own shop. You know, the I know that the templates are good, so you might as well use them. I'm going to show you how you can do that without looking inconsistent. So that's like the number one thing that I see with brands is that their branding, their design, their graphics look inconsistent because they're not using the same colors, they're not using the same text. So I'm going to show you what I did to get here and give you some tips along the way. So the first thing that I did was I created a custom canvas, and I went ahead and moved this over. So I include this in all of like my templates. So I'll just show you. I think I have it up here. So this is a template that I have, which is a welcome packet. And at the very end, I include this right here, this little Canva template brand board where you can insert your colors and you can insert your font. So you want to use this and you can just have this by itself. And anytime you are working with a document, you just bring this on over. So like, let's just say these are your colors. Now you have your colors inside this board, and you also have your fonts inside here too. The good thing is you can just copy and paste these because sometimes you might have like spacing or effects that is on here. So like spacing right here. And so so then that way you can just copy and paste it over that way. Okay, so that's the first thing that I did was I brought this over. Now, I wasn't sure what her brand colors were, so I just started looking around. I didn't see that she had a website, but what I noticed is that she uses this photo often, and then she has, I think she's using this for another one here as well. So I was like, okay, maybe these are her like brand colors, which are pretty close to the colors that I'm currently using. So I was like, yes. So I took these colors. So I have a extension called I think color picker. Oh, Colorzilla, here we go. And so I just click on it and then I'm able to grab the color, and then I went ahead and inserted the color into Canva. So you only really need to do that once if you know your brand color. So just like take the time to actually just establish these are the colors that I'm going to use and stick with those colors. And then the same thing for the font. So she doesn't have like a set number of fonts. I did go to her YouTube channel and I see that she's like using different fonts, which that's fine. Like if you want to use different fonts, especially on YouTube, because it doesn't necessarily need your YouTube channel doesn't necessarily need to look all branded. Really, you're wanting to check to see like, okay, what is working, right? And then you can go ahead and like brand it from there. But you still want to use the same colors, even if you're not using the same fonts. So then that way, when people are scrolling, it's like they notice like, oh, these are her graphics, right? Subconsciously, that's what we do. So that's why you want to have consistency when you are starting out. That's why you use people's logos because people know that logo. Like, okay, yeah, that's Fashion Nova's logo, so I know that this is a video about Fashion Nova. So same thing when it comes to your branding. That's why you want to keep consistent. Okay, so the first thing that I did was I was looking for um, layouts like this, right? So actually, no. Actually, before I did that, I did some research. So I always do research before I start. So first, I'm looking at her YouTube channel and I'm seeing how she's putting things together. This always gives me an idea of what business owners like and what they're trying to achieve. So then I have an idea of, okay, they like this. So like here, I can see that she has a lot of outline text. So I would probably try to include that because it looks like that's what she likes, outline text. Um, and then when I'm looking at these thumbnails look better than the ones that I saw that she did. And I'm going to tell you why. So when you are doing thumbnails, you want to make sure that there is a like hierarchy of information here. So like this one is a really good example. There's only two things here, right? So this is a really good one. Sometimes less is more too. I think a lot of um, non-designers don't understand that. It's like sometimes less is more. And I get caught up in that too because I'm like, I'm a designer. Like, let me add all the things, but less is more for sure. So here, this is a really good one because we have boho goddess locks and we have a photo of the locks. This is perfect. Um, Whereas like these ones right here, there is a lot that's going on, right? So um the first thing that's sticking out is that this is all the way at the top. We don't need that to be all the way at the top. We want that to be centered. There's a lot of spacing right here. I don't like that. Don't like that at all. And I personally don't like the outline of this like text. It's doesn't go with the vibe of the thumbnail. So we have Pretty Little Things, which is like straight to the point, just like a regular, like logo. It's more elegant. We have this like pink, which is elegant. And then we have this. It's just kind of throwing it off because doesn't have the same like fill to it. Um, and like the spacing and stuff like that is off. This one here, there's just a lot to look at. I don't know what to look at. When I was first doing the graphics, I was like, why is there unicorns in the back? I'm not familiar with Pretty Little Things. I'm not a clothing person by any means, not my zone of genius. And I just was like so confused on why there was unicorns. So I was like, why unicorns here? But I understand that's part of the Pretty Little Things brand name, so I totally get that. So people who know that will immediately notice, okay, this is Pretty Little Things because these are their unicorns. So that's perfect to include that in there. But the way that this is executed, not good because there's just way too many things to look at. Like, I don't know what to look at. And I would say too, like, if we're thinking about what is the purpose of the purpose of the graphic is to showcase Ashley as an influencer who is trying on clothes, right? So people are coming to Ashley's YouTube channel for Ashley and to see Ashley try on these clothes. So this should not be transparent. This should be like the highlight, right? And instead of like this background here, this needs to be the highlight. And then also you can't see Pretty Little Things. I think there's probably like a layering issue here. Okay, so this is like when you first look at this, I guess the first question that you would think is like, what am I looking at? I'm looking at a tiny person that is on a couch, right? And like that, I'm pretty sure that's not what she was going for, but that's like people's brains are like, I'm trying to figure out what's happening here, because it is a cutout. So here, I wouldn't even set it up like this because it's like, what am I looking at? Okay, I see this and I see this, and it's more like confusion. And then also too, I don't like when cutouts are not perfect, like a perfect cutout. And like some is missing because it doesn't look professional. So I personally would not have any type of cutout that didn't cut out correctly. And that's what I found when I was doing her graphics, that the cutouts just like were not coming out good. So either retake photos or just set it up differently. So that's why I set it up like this instead of doing a cutout. So when I did the cutout of this one, this was like missing. And then when I did the cutout of this one right here, like half of her stomach was coming out. And so I was like, I don't know how to do that. So I'll just show you here. So when we do it, we do the cutout. Let's see. You go to edit photo and you go to BG remover. Now you can, so here, right here, it's like, what, why is it doing that? If you are, you can also go to remove.bg. I tried that to see if that would work. And yeah, so like my extent of like my graphic design stuff is going to be Canva, especially for something that I'm just, doing on the fly. If this was for a client and they really, really wanted to be a cutout, then I would work my magic in any and every other tool. Adobe, ugh, hate going into Adobe, but I'd have to do it, and do it there instead. But I wasn't going to do that because I'm just doing this out of the kindness of my heart. So I was like, okay, well, I can figure it out. That's one thing I can do. Let me figure it out. It's just, it doesn't have to be a cutout. So sometimes you can't just, you can't do a cutout. So, you know, I don't like cutouts that's like, that is like cut out like this. Like you want like the full arm, like this right here. It just looks better. And then, so like for this, I only would use this on the side like this. So for hers, for this one right here, since it didn't cut out correctly, I'm just going to show you. Since it didn't cut out correctly, then the only way that I could use this if it's like cut out like this, unless I wanted to use like other like programs and stuff like that. And this, if I do it like this, then that's not going to necessarily like look too good because the whole point is to showcase Ashley in the clothes. And so there's all this other space here, and this is not the focal point. So that just was not going to work. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get into how I created these. So the first thing that I did was research. I took a look at her stuff, grabbed her colors, and then I also did a quick search for other YouTube channels to see what they're doing. What is the what's the like? What are people used to seeing? And so you always want to do that. So anytime I start any type of branding project, any type of graphics, I'm always looking to see what are people used to seeing, like what's industry standard, right? So what's industry standard for influencers who are trying on clothes? Like what do the graphics normally look like? So I know what they look like and I can follow some of those same rules, but then also try to stand out. So what I'm seeing is that we have like this collage thing going on. So I definitely wouldn't want to do that because there's just so many of them that have that collage and it's not going to stand out. So I want to do something that stands out. And then I see people just kind of holding up their stuff. And then we have a whole bunch of cutouts and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, well, let's try something different. And especially since I can't do the cutouts. And so that is how I came up with these ones here. So first things first is what I will do is I will go into design. So I personally don't like starting with a blank canvas unless I'm working on a custom designs. If I'm working on custom designs and I've done the research and I understand the direction, and so that's fine. But for everything else, I always like to start with something. And so I go into design, and these are all basically going to be YouTube thumbnails because when I created this document, I went here and I typed in, I typed in YouTube thumbnail, and it's bringing up a YouTube thumbnail. So now I have all of these different templates that could be used. I could just bring them over. So let me just actually go here and you can actually type some. But basically what I'm looking for is I'm only looking for the text. So the text over here and seeing what type of design do I like. So that is what I'm starting with. and I'm checking to see, okay, what type of text do I like? And I'm going to use that text. So I'm trying to find the exact one that I use, but I'm not even seeing it pop up. So I probably scrolled for a little bit. Maybe I passed it. Let me see. I'm actually just going to use these right here. These are the ones. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so I saw this one. We can see that's the one that I used here, right? So same. It's the same thing. I just changed it to match colors, right? And I didn't use the entire graphic. So you don't have to use the entire graphic when you're looking for Canva graphics. You can just use different elements of it. So what I do is I go ahead and bring this over, and then I usually just create like a copy of it. Like a copy, like to just to have like an extra one down here, that I'm going to like move it to. So let's change that back. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and change it to match her colors. So let me do this. Okay. So we're going to change the words. Influencer. I'm going to make this smaller. I'm going to try and fit it just like exactly how they had it. Influencer. Clothing. Haul. Perfect. Let me take the background. Oh, let me have that back. Okay. Influencer clothing haul, and then I'm going to change the color to her brand color. So we can see now that the brand colors are here. So that's why I do that. And then for this one, I can't change the red. The red is actually made by an effect. So I'm going to go in here and change that to white. And then I need to change the text now. And I believe I left that the same. And then I think I just moved this over a little bit because I didn't like that it was over this one. Here we go. I'll just leave it for now, and then I'm going to move this over because I want to make room for the logo. So then I'm going to bring in the logo. I'm actually just going to make this a little bit smaller so that I can actually see what it's going to look like. And then I'm going to bring over the logo. So here's the logo. Now you can keep it with this box background, but I probably wouldn't do that just because this box background right here is, it has like these rounded edges. So unless you wanted to change that to the rounded edges, I don't. So what I'm going to do is edit the photo and use the background remover. Okay, perfect. Make this a little bit smaller. Okay, perfect. So, okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to group this and then I'm going to position it to the middle. I'm just going to move it down a little bit because there's more space down here than there is at the top. That's just my graphic designer ways. Um, and then I am going to grab this right here. So I can't remember exactly where I found that, but you can do the same thing with the design and go back, and I don't think I got this from the design. But if you wanted to, you can, look at the different designs and look how the photos are laid out. So with a lot of these are cutouts because, that's kind of like the norm for YouTube. But again, we couldn't get a good photo. We don't have like a good photo cutout of her in for my standards. So I didn't want to go that route. So another thing that you could do is just go ahead and look for the photo. I don't know what I typed in to find that. Photo frame, probably. Yeah, photo frame. Okay. So here's the different frames. And you can just go ahead and pick one. So I know, actually, I remember now, I did find it in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and move this over. And then now the background. So you could keep the background like this, but I always like to add a little something to the background, just so that it kind of gives it some like depth and just like visually, it's like nice to look at. So sometimes it's like the little details that count. So for that, I just typed in the background pattern, and I'm looking for graphics like this. So let's just use this one right here. I used this one before. Um, this one I actually can't change the background color here, so you want to make sure that the color is okay. This in this case it is. I can use this color. This one right here, you can change the color. You can tell up here, and you can just go ahead and change the color. Oops, you can change the color. See? This one right here, you cannot change the color. This is actually a photo, so you want to be aware of that. So pick one that you like. Let's say that we're going with this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to position this to the back, and then I'm going to stretch it out. And I would probably, I guess this looks fine, but I would probably pick something that is a little bit smaller. So let's just go ahead and do that. I don't like the way that it's expanding out. Let's just say this one here. Oh, can't, because I can't change the color, and that color doesn't work because it doesn't go along with the branding. Okay, this one does. Let me change it to this color. And we can go ahead and stretch that out. Sometimes if it's stretched out like this and you can't get it, what you can do is you can do like a duplicate of it. So position this to the back. I would change the transparency here, because remember, you want to make sure that it's not overwhelming. So you don't want to do anything like this because then you can't read the words, and the words are important. So you really want it to just be super, 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 super transparent, just like barely visible to the eye, but we will pick this up and we'll be like, oh, that's cool. Like, you know, so then you can pull this to the back here like that. So if you wanted to do something like that, if you didn't want it too big, sometimes for the different ones, you know, you can duplicate it and do it that way. This one wouldn't work because it's not like a full, it's not a full one like this. Oh, did that come over? Here we go. That very, very faint. There we go. Then you can, you know, you can add that to the other side if you wanted to do it that way. So that's how I did that graphic. Okay, so now for this one, again, I did the same thing. So I came over here to design, and I'm looking for the text. So I'm not necessarily looking for the entire photo. I'm just kind of looking for the text. So we can do this one. Just um, I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller because it is a longer word. Influence on the clothing. I'm gonna make this one smaller too. Let's make them the same size. Okay, whole. I don't think whole is gonna look good like that. So what we're gonna do is move it right here, and then we're gonna make this smaller so that it fits right there. Okay, and then we'll bring over pretty little things. Change the background color. let's try a different color. So now I have these. Now I have these. I'm going to group these together. I'm going to position it to the middle, and then so this looks good on this side. So now I have to figure out what's going on this side. And remember, like I said, Ashley is the main character here, so we want something that is going to make sure that she is the focal point over here. So now I'm going to go back over here to design. I'm going to see what I can do over here where the photo is on the right hand side, just so that I can kind of get some ideas. So this one, I like this one because it just kind of has it as the photo as the background. So let's try that and see what it looks like. You can try this, but now that doesn't look good. So what we would need to do is we would need to make it transparent. And it would need to be really, really transparent. Let's see, even if we change the color background. So maybe we want to do like a darker one and see what that's looking like. So that looks a little bit better, but it's becoming too busy to have it in the background like that. So we're not going to do that. And then this again doesn't showcase her here. So we're not going to do that. So that actually wouldn't work because of the way that the photos are later. So let's go back to the design here. So we could do something like this right here. I like that. We can do something like this, but then I would make sure that these are centered. So let's say that we wanted to go with this idea here. So then what I would do is I would ungroup these. I would send this to the center. I would center this right here. Center, center. And then I would grab these. I'm hitting shift on my keyboard to move this over. And I'm going to position these to the middle. Okay. I'm actually going to move these and make it smaller. And let's group it so I can move it to the middle. Oh, sorry, to the center. Okay, it was already centered. Okay. So then we can go ahead and add the photos here. So I will make this bigger because again, the focal point is Ashley. I think this a little bit smaller. Okay, so what kind of background do they have here? Let me just move it there. Oh, it's a picture. Okay. So, and I think that they just have it like really, really blurred. So probably transparency and maybe a little bit of blurring. You can go into edit and then blur to get that. So I think that looks good. I would probably make this one maybe have an outline like that so that it kind of sticks out. So I would probably do something like that. So, okay, boom, we have another one. So now you can see how I mixed two different templates together to create something unique, and that works for you. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to come over here and just pick a template and then try to make it work because it's not going to work. You just pick the elements that you want and then arrange it as so. And the good thing about that is that that it's one, it's unique, and two, yeah, well, one, it's unique, and then two, it fits like whatever it is that you're trying to design instead of trying to, take this and try to make it work and then it just looks weird. So that's what ends up happening when people are editing templates is they realize like, okay, this isn't working because this isn't exactly what I need. So with those three different, with those two different things, so making sure that you have your brand, making sure that you have your brand colors and that you're consistent with your colors and your fonts. So to change the fonts here, you could just go here and change the fonts. And then if you hit one, you could just hit change all, and then you just would need to format it. Now I'm not worried. I don't know her font, so I'm not worried too much about fonts, but we can see that these don't look too different, right? So it's okay if you don't exactly have the same fonts for like things like YouTube. But like when it comes to like, your like Instagram post or something like that, like you're definitely going to want to keep the same fonts. Um, okay, so that's it. That is how I create um, graphics using Canva templates and kind of mixing them together while still making sure that everything is consistent to your branding. That is the key. You just don't want to take a template and then just start using it and adding your stuff, because then it's not going to look consistent.